Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jai Vargas. I am the founder and CEO of the Latinista. We so appreciate you being here, supporting Priscilla and Latinas in HR. This is going to be an exciting interview conversation. Make sure that you find the chat box so that you can engage with us and ask Priscilla some questions. For those of you who've never heard of the Latinista, let me tell you just a little bit about us. So it's a national organization that I founded almost about 9 years ago for the sole purpose of making sure that Latinas and women of color have somewhere to go when they're looking for professional development, resources, tools, conversations, mentors, or to be able to give back. You can find all of our information and programs right here on the latinista.com or where we're streaming from on our Crowdcast page. And as soon as we end every single program, the cool part about it is that you can watch the replay immediately. And so I'm so excited to welcome a friend and a fellow Latina to our space because she has done so much, not just for our community, but for the corporate world and in general when it comes to lifting others up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's an HR thought leader. She's a catalyst. She's a philanthropist. And then most recently, the reason why you're here, she's an author. She wrote a book with a number of you that are actually watching right now called Latinas Rising UP in HR, in Human Resources. And so based in both Chicago and Miami, Priscilla Guasso, she thrives in leading human resource teams focused on all areas of the employee life cycle, but more specifically in talent acquisition and development. She has about 15 years of corporate experience in HR in the US, as well as Latin America and the Caribbean. She's been everywhere. She's going to tell you about that. Specifically in the hospitality and the healthcare industry. She thoroughly enjoys coaching others to invest in themselves and further grow their leadership skills in corporate, in nonprofit, the government sector. And it also leads me to the book, Latinas Rising Up in HR, which was actually just nominated and has achieved bestseller list awards. And so it's so incredibly important for us to put women that are giving back to the community, sharing our stories, and also making sure that we understand where those resources are. Priscilla has done exactly that with this book, with a number of you, and being able to share what you've been through, those stories and those experiences, so that when other people coming up behind you need support and encouragement, you know exactly where to find it. So in October of 2020, just recently, Priscilla published her first book, Latinas Rising Up in HR. We're thrilled to congratulate her because her contributing authors, which are some of you, they actually recently became, like I said, an Amazon #1 bestseller. So congratulations, Priscilla, and many of you that were featured in the book. If you haven't heard about the book yet, you're in the right place. The book showcases inspirational stories of resilience and perseverance from 20 professionals currently in this career in HR and talent acquisition. And as a result of underrepresentation of Latinas in HR, executive roles, she has actually expanded her work from this book into building a growing community of now over 250 plus Latinas in HR. So if you haven't joined the community, please do, and focused on one sole purpose, making sure they share their keys to knowledge and success to open doors of unlimited possibilities. And the reason why I have decided to partner with Priscilla and a great friend of mine and hers, Sal Mendoza from NBC, connected us a couple of years ago. As soon as I met Priscilla, I knew we were going to do great things together. And what's important for you to notice is that we create communities and conversations to support one another. There is no inch or bone in our bodies that would ever consider us competition. We're here for the same purpose, to uplift, motivate, inspire, and educate Latina professionals. And we can do that together because there's so much opportunity and space that needs to be taken up in this. I know for a fact that I can't do it alone. That's why I've created the Latinista and all of the incredible women that have helped me do so over so many years. And now that Priscilla has launched her community full of Latinas in HR and talent acquisition, we help each other. And so it's important for you to see that in real time, how Latinas help each other and collaborate towards a single mission of making sure that Latinas and women of color, they have somewhere to go for tools, resources, mentorship, opportunity, job descriptions, everything that you could possibly need to be a better, more productive professional is right here between us two. And if we don't have it, we know the other Latina that does have it. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it along to Priscilla to introduce herself, to tell us a little bit more about what she's been up to, and maybe some other things that I didn't capture in her introduction. Priscilla, thank you for being here with the Latinista. Take it away.
Thank you. You're my hype girl. I'm gonna take you everywhere with me. Thank you so much for really bringing me here on your platform and inviting me to your community. From the very beginning, when I saw what you were doing with the Latinista, it captured me immediately because you embody and your community embodies exactly what we're trying to do for Latinas in human resources, right? Having a place, having a space, being vulnerable, sharing resources. And so thank you so much for having me here. A little bit about me. I'm a snowbird from Chicago and Miami. So when I'm not in Chicago, I'm in Miami and vice versa. I'm a proud wife, daughter, sister, and very big with my aunt skills. I love taking care of my nieces and nephews when I'm around them. I saw a question earlier, how do I join this fabulous community? I love HR as well. So you can find us on Facebook if you look up Latinas in HR or Latinas Rising Up in HR. You'll see our closed community there for HR professionals. I love salsa dancing. That's something I enjoy when we can get back to whatever it is that's normal down the road. Otherwise, I'm doing it here at home. And my favorite day, honestly, includes being in the sun when it can be warm outside, right, with a Moscow Mule in my hand. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. And I have to say, you have some incredible supporters on the line. I'm checking out the chat box right now. We have people from the DMV area, of course, from Chicago. Claudia's in New Jersey. Somebody else is in San Antonio. Oh my goodness, Forest Hills, Queens. Hello, Melissa Lugo. Francisca Phillips, of course, from Key Biscayne, Florida, which you know very well. I'm so inspired. You have really created an incredible community that isn't just niche in this, but you've touched upon some pain points because of your personal experience in talent acquisition and HR, and where these women weren't being seen. Mm-hmm. And so the first question that I have for you is, let's take it back. Tell us about how you were seen. Tell us about your career trajectory, where you were born, where you grew up, and how you got to this place today.
Happy to. So a little bit about me. My background is personally, we'll dive into that first, right? My mom was born in La Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City. My dad was born in Chicago, Illinois, but he was raised between Chicago and La Ciudad de Mexico. So they met, obviously, probably on one of those times that he was out there. And I was born in Chicago, Illinois, raised in the suburbs, but spent a lot of my summers, actually, I would say almost every summer I spent it in Mexico. And that's actually what helped me build a lot more my pride and my affinity with being Mexicana, right? Mexican American. And so that's a little bit of me growing up. I'm very proud of my roots, but as I've grown and learned in my adult life, I really love and enjoy learning from other cultures as well, which is, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Fantastic. Look at that. You have some more fans coming in LA. Ooh, Newport Beach, one of my favorite places, Newport Beach, California. And of course, Chicago. You've got a tremendous community in Chicago. But my next question for you is, tell me what you studied, what industries you worked in, and how you knew that HR or talent acquisition was something that you wanted to dive a little bit more deeper into. Tell us about the different cities you actually moved to and from for those opportunities.
So I wish I could say that HR was where I knew I wanted my life to go. I fell into it. Before that, I graduated from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, and specifically started off in computer science, learning how to program and learning all about IT. And realized very quickly that that was not my space. I could learn it, but it just didn't give me the passion and drive, nor could I see myself working behind a screen 24 hours programming. So after losing a little bit of hair and realizing the hard way that that was not what I wanted to do, I transitioned into actually graduating in business administration with a focus in marketing. I had thought that at the time, right, that I wanted to do event planning and that that was going to be my career forever. I think around that time, Jennifer Lopez had come out with the wedding planner, and that's where I go, oh my gosh, I love what she's doing. But that movie does not depict what real life is, as no movie, right? And I still wanted to pursue it. And so when I graduated from college, I did what many of us do, right? We research, we look online, we look in newspapers, ads, magazines back in the day. And actually, Sal was the one that I connected with. He didn't know it at the time. I found him as I Googled and did my research, but said, this is the executive I'm going to look for and see if he's available. Put my black suit on, did my resume, and walked straight into the Hyatt offices. What I wasn't prepared for, right, was actually meeting. I thought I would, but I just had hoped for, right? And getting there to the corporate offices, it is like Fort Knox there, right? There's security all over the place. It was a little bit after 9/11, so just security was hyped up, right? And he was there, and I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. And he gave me some time of his day to meet with him. And the rest, I mean, it's amazing when you have leaders actually take time out of their busy moments, right? We have our schedules, but you just never know who's going to open those doors for you and who. Now on the flip side, right now we're just really good friends, staying close in touch and helping each other out, right? And he actually happens to be in the book too, as our writer of the preface. And so, again, you just really never know where life will lead. But that's how I got into hospitality, which is where I first started my career. Then from there, I worked at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare as a catering coordinator and focused on event planning. But realized very quickly that I said, you know what, I love it, but that's when I transitioned over into human resources and did event planning, employee engagement for our employees. And being able to use my skills of speaking in Spanish and really helping our employees when they needed it. I recall a moment when one of our housekeepers was not able to read her benefits and understand what this all meant. She had a bill that was, I would say, almost like $5,000. And she just kept looking at me and saying, like, Priscilla, what do I do, right? What do I do with this? And to be able to explain it to her in her language and understand even more from just what she was going through and remembering my abuelita and thinking of making that connection, that's where my initial love for human resources started. And I go, wow, not only can I speak and use my language, right, but I can also use it for good. And that from there, I continued my career. I focused in benefits. I then went into recruiting, workers' compensation, touched employee relations, and joined Sal's team. Again, full circle, right? Joined Sal's team in diversity and inclusion at the corporate office. That's when I felt I made it. I finally got into the corporate team. And I remember a lot of people, and actually a friend that passed away recently because of COVID, she shared with me, she goes, Priscilla, I remember her saying this, you made it. And you did it. Just don't ever forget where you came from, right? And I hold that really, really tight to me. And so from there, then I had the opportunity to move to Miami. And that was a big deal because Priscilla was not meant to leave Chicago. And not even just Priscilla, it was the family that said that. They said they never thought that I would be the one that would leave. Our family's very close. There's almost 50 of us in Chicago, right? We're really tight. But to move in my career, that was really important to me. And my husband, very supportive and continues to be, said, you know what, we've got to try it. If we don't, you'll never know. The worst case is we come back home, right? And we've got our family there with arms wide open. So we took the leap of faith, went to Miami, and it was one of the hardest times of my life, to be very honest. But I loved what I did in my job. I got to travel all over Latin America and the Caribbean. We opened over 35 hotels with Hyatt Hotels. I got to visit amazing countries and get to know the culture and just the people in every country, that it's so different from right when you're reading a book. And to build connections, build that, just see that humanity, it was, again, one of the best roles I've had. And then from there, I grew tremendously. My RVP of HR, she taught me so much, and I said, I'm ready for something big next. And unfortunately at the time there was nothing available at that moment. But I did find a role outside, and that was another hard moment, right? To leave, I felt like I was cheating on someone, right? Because I'm like, I can't leave my family. I can't leave my family at Hyatt. But I knew it was time for me to make a jump in my career, and I felt it, and I really believed in myself and what I could do. And so again, took another leap of faith, joined Enlivant, and had an amazing time with the teams there. I supported as their divisional HR director. I was 2 levels away from the CEO. I was supporting 106 communities in assisted living, had 3,300 employees, 9 different states. Again, just a whole nother world of what I hadn't done before. And to be honest, I learned it was one of those moments that you realize your potential and what you can do, and how that just validates you. But during that time, there were a lot of other things that I'll share in a moment, right? That also were life altering.
That's incredible. And you know what stands out to me as you're sharing that? Some us Latinas, many Latinas, have an incredible amount of pressure put on us by our family as well as society to be very loyal. And sometimes that holds us back from opportunities like moving to a different state, leaving our jobs, abandoning our manager and everything that we've built. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like, where did you get the courage to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to go to Miami and see how it goes. And you know what, I'm going to leave this company. I could always come back. How did you make those decisions without feeling the pressure of your family saying, you're abandoning us?
Well, they did say you are abandoning us. Let me be very clear. But you're right. It is a lot of pressure. And the key for me has always been to never burn bridges, honestly, is to always leave on good terms, and always making just really good relationships with people, because you cannot take all the things that you learned in the sense of actual material things, but you have relationships, and that will never go away, right? How you make people feel. And so for me, it was really important that I leave on good terms, and always make sure that I help others along the way. And with that, I mean, who knows? I joke all the time. I have Edith and Sonia that are in my book that are from Hyatt, and we talk about like, well, who knows? Maybe one day I'll come back. You just never know. You never know where life will end, right? But for me, truthfully, the courage came from one, inside myself, really, really digging in and being like, Priscilla, you deserve this, and you know this, and you can do this. And second, I didn't have as many mentors as many of us are now seeing, and we're seeing more and more. And I wanted to show that, you know what, I'm not a statistic. I'm part of a statistic, right? But I want to change that. I really want to change what that looks like. And I don't like these boxes that we always put ourselves in, or others put us in, right? And so I wanted to show through my actions something different, right? And something that was very aligned to who I am. I wasn't here to prove anything to anyone else but me.
That's incredible. And a lot of people in the chat box are saying, you know, sometimes you almost have to unplug from those communities in order to succeed,
Yes.
Which is difficult, you know. And Mary says that she had that conversation earlier today with her boss. And at the end of the day, I really think that when someone wants to see you succeed and be successful, they have to let you go. They have to let you grow, and you might come back better than ever to help out again. And so, you know, it is really challenging when I meet so many women that are being held back by sometimes these excuses of, oh gosh, I would love to, you know, spend some time abroad, but I have children. Gosh, I would love to move to California, but, you know, I have to help my mom. You know, it's so heartbreaking to see these opportunities wither away because people feel this immense pressure from their families and their societies to stay. and to not grow.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's hard because again, everyone's in a different place, right? Everyone's in a different seat and managing the guilt in different ways, because it really is guilt, right?
Mhm.
And so I will say it took a lot of conversations. It took a lot of sit downs, I'm not even talking about work, I'm talking about personally, right? It took a lot of conversations with my husband. Okay, it's not just we pick up and go, right? What does that mean for us? We have one of our authors that's also moving, right? And we talk about how big of a deal that is, and how sometimes people don't understand, even in our own community. How can you do that? How is that? And so my biggest thing, if anything, is coming in with empathy, right? And saying, that's great, that's working for you. And now in my situation, how does this look like for me, right? And being okay with that, and knowing that there's moments where you're gonna thrive and you're gonna keep moving up and you're gonna knock it out of the park. And as I saw with one of our participants today, sometimes you got to take a pause, and that's very hard when you realize that that's where you're at. To be honest, just talking personally.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I feel like people do want to see you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom and your dad and your family, they're going to be so proud of everything that you accomplished. And you may be able to help them even more so, because now you're making more money to send back to them and to the community, right? And you'll visit. It's just so challenging, right? Because we come from these constructs that to some extent weigh very heavy on us when it comes to our responsibilities. Now, I want you to talk to us a little bit about maybe some personal or professional challenges that you've had in your profession within these HR roles, because you've been in the industry 10, 15 plus years. I'm sure that you've come across a boss that wasn't so great, an opportunity that maybe you shouldn't have embarked on, and maybe some other challenges that you want to share with us.
Happy to. So personally, one of the biggest challenges I had, that you can read about it actually in the book, is I work very hard, right? As many of us do. And I tend to think like I work really hard. And I was always taught from a little girl, work hard, work hard, work hard. But at a certain point I go, well, how much is too much, right? How much, I mean, you get to a point where you're like, am I giving everything of me away? And so after honestly going through 2 miscarriages these past years, it's been almost 2 years now. I share that because they happen during work-related events, and you can read about that in my book. And it was very hard for me. Everyone goes through, I think, these defining moments, and that was mine. That was mine, where it taught me so much to say, Priscilla, when I speak earlier about pauses, this is your time to pause. Yes, you can keep going and have that smile on your face, and you think no one knows what's going on in your life, because in HR, we keep it together. But behind all of that, behind that smile, I was going through a lot. And while I had great support around me and people saying and championing, Priscilla, take some time off. We're here for you. We'll take the extra load off. We'll do this and that. I realized for me, it was time for me to take a pause for my health. And it's so hard when we talk about pressures, because at the time, no one was telling me, Priscilla, you can't do that, right? But it just felt like something or someone was telling me this, right? But I knew I had to take care of myself physically, emotionally, spiritually, because if we don't take care of ourselves as HR professionals, and this was me talking to Priscilla, then how am I expected to do the same and even more for my community, for my place of employment, for my team? And so that was one of the hardest moments, because I left my 6-figure paying job, which most people are like, what is wrong with you? But I knew at that moment that if not, I was going to burn out, right? And I was going to not be helpful to anyone, most importantly to myself, my family, my husband, the people in my community. And so that's when I decided to take a pause a year ago in April. And from there, I will tell you that this year has been phenomenal, right? In the sense of when I look at what I've been working on, not from a COVID standpoint, right? But again, I think of just you can only control what you can control, right? And that was one of them, which I needed to take back that control of my life, what I was going to do. And during this pause, and I wish more companies would give our teams these sabbaticals or these moments to just pause, because we built a book and we built a community during this pause. And so I laugh because most people are like, that's not a pause, Priscilla. And I go, but it is, right? Because I was then able to pour my learnings, my knowledge, my successes, everything that I had learned about, and give it back to my community. And now, I mean, even just seeing the women on the call today and then in our community, the notes that I've seen being sent to our authors of, wow, your story really resonated with me. That's where I go, okay, going through those challenges, that's what it was meant for, right? Now on a professional side, a lot of it is the way we relationship build is not easy, right? It's not about liking everyone and having everyone like you. That's not it, right? It's learning how to persevere through those challenges. And really, one thing that we've been talking a lot as of late within our group is storytelling through data. In HR, you're seen as, again, sometimes if you're not from the human resources venue or area, sometimes people think we just plan parties and posters and events, and that's not the case. We're dealing with some pretty heavy things, right? And a lot of it comes to influence, right? Learning the art of influence has been key because, again, if I don't know the data, if I don't have those relationships, I can't influence where we're going as a corporation. And then doing it through my lens of the United culture, it all connects. And so for me, that's been really difficult sometimes because not everyone looks like me in the room. And so learning to see things through the other lens, then going through my lens, and then putting away those things in your head that say, you're not doing it right? These little voices that we have. That has been one of the hardest things. I will say, though, it wouldn't have been possible without having such great people around me that have allowed me to remove those things from my head, right, and really start thriving. From the minute I started my career to where I am today, will there still be challenges? 100%, right? Especially with what we see with COVID and women of color losing so many jobs. But now is a time where it's like, okay, how do we learn from these challenges that we went through and help each other during this time, right? Not try to hurt each other. So I love what you said earlier about this is a time for us to lift one another up.
Yeah, and I love that you shared about the pause that you took in your professional life. Because when we look back, I mean, there's an opportunity for us to work for 40 years straight. Some people don't take this much needed break to be able to slow down, get their health in check, and create something as beautiful as you have that actually makes a significant impact in the community in which you care about. When you work for these large corporations, you're not making much of a difference in your community or with the people that are surrounding you and for those women that are looking up to you. So it's so beautiful that you've taken this break, but have built from the pause that you decided to take this incredible community. You've written this book and you've allowed other women to share their experiences and stories to then create this ripple effect to help others. That is so significant, right? Because when you look back at this time, in the grand scheme of things, you worked for 40 years, you took a year or 2 or 3 years off, and you're like, wow, that set me up for the best time in my life. That really helped me get on track with my health and my mental well-being. And I knew that I was on the brink of burning out, like many people are in all of our different cities, especially with COVID and their families and with the loss of loved ones. So it's so beautiful that you said, you know what, this isn't going to get me. I want to make sure that I take a pause. I'm really responsible and I'm going to do this for me. And eventually my family will understand why. And eventually
they do. Yeah, no, they do. And no, thank you. It's been beautiful. Honestly, from the minute when this idea came in my head, and this has been something that was in my mind for almost 5 years. I'm gonna say it was around the time when you and I met, actually, maybe a little bit before that. And it was an idea, right? And it was one of those times where I share with our authors and others where I was waiting for someone else to do it, to be very honest with you. I was like, someone else is going to do it. I'm busy on my career. I'm doing what I got to do. Someone else is going to pick it up. And when I realized year over year that wasn't happening, that's when I just felt it inside me. And one thing that was super important for me that, again, I love seeing that we have almost 55 women and men on the call today, which is you cannot do anything alone. You can't, right? You could try, you could do it, you'll get far, right? But when you do it with others, there's beauty behind it, right? There's this domino effect that happens. And I see it almost like a tree. It just grows and grows. It's rooted, but it just keeps giving life. And so I couldn't have been anywhere near where I am today with our book, and just all the recognition that we've received from it without those 19 contributing authors that decided, I'm going to join you, Priscilla. We don't know what's going to happen, but our heart's in it, right? And that's where we're going.
Incredible. So tell us a little bit more about the book. Why did you decide to write it? Where did you find these incredible women? And what are you trying to solve for? What can we do?
Yeah. One of the things I've always thought about, and this is part of when I think about health, right? Mental, physical, and spiritual, is I've always thought about legacy and why do I do things, right? It's just something that is in me. I really believe that when we leave this earth, we don't take anything with us. If anything, we leave little seeds. And so I've really thought hard and many times during the week where it's like, all right, during my meditation time, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? What will your time look like while you're here on earth, right? And not to receive recognition. That's not what it's for. It's more of like, what are you doing to help move things forward? I don't like complaining. That's one big thing of me. I want to create change, and I want to help do that through solutions. How do we do this, right? Action. And so when I read stats from Latina Equal Pay Day and learned about the roles that the roles that Latinas are in, the top roles, I didn't see anything like HR professional or entrepreneur or business leader. And that's where I go, that's where we need to be, right? That's where we need to see more representation. And so if the students don't hear about this amazing career, I saw someone say, I love HR. I do too. If we don't share that with them, how do we inspire them to be in our places down the road? And then it goes even bigger. We've got to change this paradigm where, again, we don't know what we don't know. So it's our responsibility to share that with others. And I take it very, very heavy, that responsibility, in a way where it's like, I want to hit the ground with women that are ready to do the same thing. And so that way our community, we don't have one person, right? That's quite an ask, but we don't have one student, one young aspiring Latina not know that HR is a field that they could go into and that they could thrive in. Because human resources, again, in the right organizations, they are the heart of a company. They're the culture keepers, ensuring that, where a company is driving, that's not just corporate focus, right? That there's a heart behind it. Unfortunately, we've seen where in many companies, people will think, oh no, HR, go into the principal's office, right? And so again, changing that mindset, but if we don't have Latinas in HR, I really believe it's going to be hard for us to do and walk the walk with what we're saying around diversity. It's not going to happen. That's one component of how we need to make that change. So that's just, again, one of the reasons why I really focused on doing this book. And I have a dream, honestly, that I love the 19 authors that we have in this book, and they know how much each one of them means to me. And I think it's phenomenal what we've done. This book is great. But the thing is that there are so many other stories out there too that need to be heard. And we started it. This is just the flame that we wanted to do. We wanted to start it. And I would love to see our stories archived forever, right? And the best way to do that is publishing your story. So this will never go away unless they burn our books.
We're not doing that.
Which I don't recommend it, right? But again, we will forever be in the Congress Library, right? We will always be there. And that's one thing that I wanted for us, where I'm going and speaking with our amazing publisher, Fig Factor Media. It's like, this is how we do it. And now we've just started it. So how do we get more stories coming in, right? And that means community. That means pulling everyone together. But it took some time to find these authors. It wasn't just you're Latina, check, you're in the book. That on the contrary, I wanted to ensure that, yes, that they were proud to be Latina, but what were their stories? What is their mission? What is their why, right? And does it align to me personally with what I see as amazing leadership? And so After a lot of searching, took about almost less than a year, and we found all 19, and it was all through networking. It was all through who do you know? Who do you know? We sent out an application, threw it all over LinkedIn, threw it all over Facebook and Instagram. And while we had many and still amazing leaders, my hardest job was picking 19, right? But here we are with them, and with the amazing 19 women in our book that are all ready to hit the ground running, already have been, like Fran that's on the line today. She does all our social media on top of being a lead in DEI, right? So it's just, we have so many skills, so many things that are part of who we are, that it's so neat to see how we can all give back, right, through this community.
That's incredibly impactful and significant. And I was at your book launch along with many other people that were there supporting and watching and cheering you, as well as the other authors on. And you have some incredibly talented women in your corner. So bravo for picking those first. And I know that you have hundreds others that have applied. And I'm looking forward to seeing if you're going to write a next one.
We are. That is, I've thrown it out in the universe, but the first thing that I want us to focus on this year is, one, our community, and two, we're working on making the book available in Spanish. And so that is what our focus is this year, are those two pillars.
Oh, that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about those 4 pillars and what it is that you're doing with these authors and the community at large.
Yeah. So we have 4 pillars within Latinas in HR as a community, one being opportunities. So what is it that we can do as far as personal and professional growth, right? We're thinking of having monthly programming every month, obviously, and really driving in on those skills within human resources that are needed. one, to share that knowledge with others, right? And two, to also share best practices with each other. It's been amazing in the last 2 months that we've had it. We had a vision board event that was led by Janine Jansen, one of our authors, and then we had another event this past month, actually this past Sunday, with Irma Reyes, and she led us on actually manifesting the vision, right? You have your vision, now how do you actually manifest it? And so it's great to see, again, pulling our knowledge of what we know, sharing it with others, sharing best practices, and doing that monthly. The second pillar is through philanthropy. So partial proceeds of our book, if you've purchased it, thank you so much, because we actually are launching our scholarship in March for students as well as professionals. And so we have 2 scholarships that we're able to fund because of the proceeds from our book. And we're also looking at creating workshops for high school and college students, again, learning a little bit more about what our career is. Third is around exposure. So that's where the book falls in, right? Where you'll learn more details of what that means, how to get involved, and how to be considered for it. As well as we want to share your story, right? We want to talk about you on a podcast. Let's interview, just like this. I'm not about only let's focus on the 19-20 of us, right? This is a start, like I mentioned. We want to show other leaders that are out there. And the key is visibility, right? If you're not using these platforms for visibility, you're not going to be known and seen. And so I want the world to see us and see us as the subject matter experts that we are in people. And the final pillar is around networking, a lot around sharing best practices and using our community where, again, we're focusing on together we rise. And so for individuals that feel that burn in them, that want to be amongst other men and women, because we need allies there too, join us, right? This is the place for you. And I've learned so far that I get goosebumps all the time during our events, because when I hear things like, Priscilla, I can be vulnerable here. I can be 100% myself. There's no judgment. That's where I'm like, all right, we're doing the right thing, right? We're creating a change for our community.
And it's an incredible network and community that you have created. I wish I was in that session with Janine. If you all don't know Janine Jansen, please go find her on LinkedIn. She's an incredible support system. She's an incredible mom. She's completely embedded in the community and giving back. And a number of people in the chat box are saying that, yeah, the sessions have been amazing. Beautiful. So let me ask you this. How can we help people that aren't in the book, people that are just in the community and looking for a space to be able to rise your book up, support your community? How can we help? you be better, as well as all of the other authors and all of the other women that are in HR that haven't had the opportunity to connect?
Yes. So thank you for asking. Right now, again, our focus is on attention, education, and call to action. When we look at the stats and we see that only 2% of executive positions are held by Latinas, that's where I'm like, we've got to do something, right? This cannot be the normal. And as each year passes and I see that number being moved very slowly, I would love to have others join us in this venture, in this journey, and have us and support us through the ERGs that you have right now. Right, invite us into your spaces. Help us with purchases of the book so we can continue this legacy of opening doors for others that are considering being in HR or already in HR that would like to get their certifications. Second is encourage your friends and family that are in human resources to connect with us. Join us. You can find us at Latinas in HR on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm not on TikTok yet, but we'll get there. But you'll find us on all the platforms at Latinas in HR. And so please follow us, engage with us, and share, tag, nominate our content on different platforms. I really believe that we all are only 2-3 degrees away from each other and opening doors for one another. So if you have the ability to highlight our book or invite us into a talk, please connect with me. Connect with any of our authors, honestly. We're all ambassadors. I see us all as equals, regardless of our positions. We're all here to do the same, right? Is to open doors.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. For those of you who are logged on right now, you can check out our chat box. I have dropped in the Latinas in HR handle, the link tree where you can find all of their community links, as well as their social medias. And I believe that you have a program coming up next month. Is that correct?
We do, on March 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Leaning into Disruption. And we're going to be dropping some pretty great information there. We have leaders from different parts of our book. It's going to be a great conversation. You can register today if you go to our link tree. The link is live. It will be on Zoom, and I promise you'll walk away with something.
I love that. We're definitely here to support you. That's exactly what Latinas do, is we help one another build our communities and make sure that those resources are available to us. So Priscilla, tell us where we can follow you, support you. And as you do that, I'm going to share my screen with some important information that everybody should take a picture of.
Yes, thank you. Well, quick shout out to Gloria. I'm so glad she's on here from Latina Style Magazine. She's mentioning that I will be in their magazine this coming month. So thank you so much, Gloria, for that shout out. Again, we couldn't do it without each other. Please connect with each one of us on LinkedIn. You can connect with any of the authors. We're not celebrities. We're everyday people as everybody. And we really are here to help one another. And so please, I encourage you, if as you read our story and there's someone that you connect with personally, reach out to them, encourage them to, and let them know that their story impacted your life. Because they took a step, right, in sharing vulnerably who they are. And that is not an easy task to do. And so by doing that, again, we encourage one another, and we're going to make changes. I feel it. It started, right? The flame is on, and it's going to require each one of us to feel that, right, to continue that. And I have to thank my contributing authors. I see them popping in on the chat. I love each one of them tremendously. And I'm so excited for each one of you to connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us at Latinas Rising UP in HR, as well as find me on LinkedIn.
I love this. You have so many supporters. People are so excited to connect with you all. For those of you who are listening right now, do you have any questions for Priscilla? Drop it in the chat box right now, and I'll read it out loud for her. And as you're thinking about what question you'd like to ask Priscilla or any one of the other authors, I want to encourage you to use LinkedIn to connect with her, as well as everyone else that may share your similar story. Maybe just asking her how easy it was to publish this book. Maybe asking her to connect you with someone else who might be your mentor for the future. Do the hard work in being able to say, this year is going to be so different for me. Take control of your career. And if you're looking for a mentor, or if you've gotten to a level where you've done pretty well, please reach back down and support someone else who's just struggling to get by, because we've all been there at some point, and that's exactly what this community that Priscilla has built is doing with all of the authors here today. Let's see. We have a question here for you. Someone is saying, I've been having a hard time connecting with a mentor. How did you connect with others in HR?
I love your question because it goes a little deeper than just meeting someone, right? So my first thing for you, Karen, that I would ask is, what is it that you enjoy doing, right? What is it that you love getting involved in? Where is that passion, that excitement, that inspiration? Because let's face it, this past year has been really hard for many of us. But what helps, again, light that flame inside of you? I found out that for me, it was human resources, and it was my community as a Latina. And so for me, it meant that I was going to be very intentional with where I spent my time. Because sometimes as women, we can go everywhere. We can put ourselves in anything, and we balance so well, right? We juggle things here and there, life, family, work, extracurricular activities, taking on new projects. But taking a step back, like you said, Jai, right? And really thinking about, why am I doing this? What do I enjoy doing it? And what am I looking for, right? You're going to start gravitating towards organizations that are connected to who you are. And you're going to start finding people that will want to help you. It's not always a two-way street when you reach out to someone, unfortunately, right? And I always try to think of giving people benefit of the doubt, right? Because there's a lot going on right now. And so really, the moment you start digging into that a little bit more, like for instance, with me, I realized I loved the university I went to, right? They opened so many doors for me. I'm giving back by being part of the Latina Alumni Association. I've met amazing people through that. The Latinista, I love what their mission is and what they're driving. And I've met amazing women through that group. Again, I'm working with Mujeres de ACE. I love what ACE is doing and how they're helping our community. And I'm meeting people that are on that same wavelength that want to give back. And so, Karen, I would just recommend that you start digging a little bit more into what is that for you, right? And then you're going to start gravitating people that will just help you genuinely, not because, again, a mentor's not, I personally have not really said, hey, will you be my mentor? Jai doesn't know this, but she is one of my mentors on my team, because I look up to these women that are opening doors for others, that are sharing their knowledge. They're not keeping it to themselves. But that required, again, being around people that embody that of what you're looking for. And I go back to the saying of in Spanish, right, where it says, "Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres." Right? So it's like, tell me who you're around, who you spend your time with, and I'll tell you who you are. And so that resonated with me as a kid when my mom told me that, to who I am today as an adult. And you'll start gravitating those people, but don't give up, right? Really start being more intentional. Not that you aren't, but focus in on that, right? Start digging in a little bit. And I think the stars start aligning. The world starts changing for you, and you'll find yourself in a place where you'll go, wow, look at who's around me. I didn't realize, I have so many amazing people. And that's kind of where I am today with all our contributing authors, with Jai, with many others that continue to be ambassadors of what we're working on. Great question.
Yes, great question. And Karen, if I could push you, make sure that you connect with Priscilla on LinkedIn, ask her these questions, share with her what it is that you're looking for in a mentor, and she will do the hard work in helping you identify someone. You don't even need to speak to people over the phone to be connected with someone who's going to make such a big difference in your career trajectory. Connect with me too, and connect with all of these women. That's exactly what, partnering on being successful looks like among women, among Latinas, among professionals. Priscilla, I cannot thank you enough. Let me see. I think I have one more question. It says, do you foresee having an annual conference similar to SHRM and NAAHR in the near future?
I do. I'm throwing it out there. It is a dream. One of our contributor authors actually threw that out in the universe when we were planning our book launch, and it is on the docket. It's something we would like to do at the end of this year. But first, we want to focus on connecting as many Latinas as we can that are in human resources. And then once we accomplish that in the next few months, then the next part is how do we make this happen? But I am very, very hopeful that it'll be possible, because amongst HR folks, like we can put a product and a workshop together very fast. So again, once we learn what our community is looking for and what they're striving and what they're also being challenged with, then can I say, hey, let's start doing this. But yes, I love that question. It's definitely something we would love to do at the end of this year.
That would be phenomenal. Hey, you never know. It could be a Latinas in HR as well as the Latinista conference.
I love it. I love it. I do.
It might be in Barcelona. It might be in Barcelona, and you guys can all come and you can make it incredible. That's the power of doing things together, that you're able to start sharing responsibility and helping one another. I've built an entire business on event planning and logistics, and Priscilla's incredible at that. And so why not? We can do our conference in Barcelona.
Why not? Yeah, instead of saying, I can't do it, right? We're like, how are we going to do it, right? When are we going to do it? So yes, I'm with Arlene and I'm with Melissa. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Yes, 2022, here we come.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well, Priscilla, thank you so much for taking your precious time in speaking with us, inspiring us, and encouraging us to give back to our communities, as well as share our stories and our experiences so that we can help other people that are being challenged with what they're going through. On behalf of the Latinista community, thank you and your community so much. I cannot wait to start planning our conference in Barcelona for 2022.
It's going to happen. I've already wrote it down. So.
Oh, but it will.
Happen. Thank you so much for everyone that joined today. And I do hope that we get notes from you on LinkedIn and that you get connected with us through our Facebook group, because we're onto something very special. And I'd love for you to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Priscilla, thank you. And for those of you who haven't purchased the book, purchase it right now. Purchase it, and connect with Priscilla and her community on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Jen.
Have a great rest of the week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Bye.